I finally decided to learn Python, a programming language I promised myself I'd learn one day. I'd like to show you a simple script I made for downloading media using DLP. Here it is on my desktop, and when I open it up, all it does is prompt for the URL, put in the URL, and it lists all available formats that you can download. Like if I want 720p, I can press 6, hit enter, and then confirm download, and it downloads that clip onto my desktop. Simple script. I've been learning Python for about a month now, and I want to stress that this is not meant to be an in-depth tutorial on Python. More like a coding demonstration. The full code with error handling and Linux compatibility will be up on my GitHub page. So I got a new file here, and I'll just save it to my desktop and I'll call it downloader. And as far as imports, we're going to need OS, sys, subsystem, or subprocess. I always call it subsystem for some reason. I don't know why. And import JSON. One of the things I like about Python is just how easy it is to work with JSON compared to other languages. Really like that. And we'll create a main function here, which will run our main program. There's a couple of functions that we're going to need. One is to check that DLP is actually installed. So I like to have has DLP, and it's going to return a type of Boolean. Select format, which will list all the available formats for a URL and allow the user to select a format. So select format, which should return a string. And it needs to take in a URL, which will also be a string. I need a confirm download to prompt the user whether they're sure they want to download. So confirm download. And lastly, a function for downloading the video. These are all the functions I would need for the program. And we're just going to load up the main function at the start. So in our main function, we want to first run has DLP. And inside of has DLP, all we're going to do is try to run a DLP command with subprocess. So subprocess run DLP with the option H for help. Run check. And so that the command doesn't actually print anything to the terminal, we'll add standard output. Dev no. I keep calling this string out. It's supposed to be standard out and standard error. Subprocess dev null. If all goes well, we'll return true. On accept, we'll just return false. Then in our main function, we can do if has DLP is true, or actually false. We want to check that it's false. We'll say something like DLP isn't installed, system install it with winget, and then exit the program. Okay, maybe it's not OS, it's sys. I get sys and OS confused all the time because in my mind they're sort of like the same thing, but they're not. So sys exit if this is false. And to check that this is actually working, I'm just going to change the command to something that I know I don't have. So like DLP2, a program that I don't actually have, and run the script. And of course, I forgot to add my parentheses. Try that again. And I get the error, DLP isn't installed on your system. So I know that that works. Move this, run this again, and we get no error. So that's good. So has DLP works. Now we just have to ask the user to input a URL. Simple enough. We'll go down here and we're going to save URL into a variable called URL and get the URL with input. We'll just say something like enter video URL. Now I want to add the option Q to quit. So Q to quit. And then under that, if the URL lowercase is equal to Q, Then we'll just do a system exit. Otherwise, we're going to list formats. Some comments in here. And this is where we're going to run the select format. And we're going to store whatever we get in select format in format ID. In select format, it's going to take in that URL. And that's it. If we run this, we now get asked for a URL. If we press Q, it exits the program. So now we're ready to work on select format. So in select format, a couple of things we'll need to do. First, we need to get the JSON from the DLP command, list the formats, and then prompt the user. First, we'll try subprocess, and we're going to run the DLP command, passing in the URL and the option dump JSON. What this will do is, if done in the terminal, instead of downloading a video clip, if you pass in dump JSON, it just returns a bunch of JSON about the video in any available formats. So that's what we're going to be using, returning with this. So we want to capture that output in check. And we're going to store that output in output. So this should return some JSON, which we can then convert using the JSON loads so that we can work with it in Python. And I think I need to add the standard out. If this fails, then we'll display a process error. So subprocess, process error, it's E. And then we're just going to print out the error. First the error code, and then the error message. Return an empty string. Otherwise, all goes well. Then we want to check to see if formats exist in our output, the formats property. So we'll do if formats not in our output. Just going to print a message that says no formats available for that URL. And then return an empty string. And when we do have formats, then we simply list the formats with the for loop. And we'll do for video in our output formats. And I'm actually going to enumerate this so we can display numbers next to each video format. So I'll do enumerate and print the video index number followed by the video resolution, which is going to be in the second index. And next to that, I'll have the video extension. I'm also going to store the format ID in a list. So I'm going to create that list up here. Format IDs is going to be a list. And in this loop, we're going to just append the video ID. All of this is coming from the JSON that we returned. So format ID. If I run this and put in a video clip, it displays all the formats, the resolutions, and a number next to each one, which will be the option that the user will have to put in for that corresponding format. Now you'll see duplicates in here. I think these are for different audio, but when I check the JSON for different audio, they all say none, so I have no idea what the differences are between these duplicate resolutions, but I do know that they're different. And I'm not a DLP expert, so good. Now we're ready to just ask the user for option. So simple enough, we'll just run a while loop, while true, and we're going to store the option in a variable called choice and ask the user to select a resolution by number and give the option Q to quit. And if the choice lower is equal to Q. In this instance, we're just going to return an empty string. Else, if the choice is not a digit, so choice is digit, then we'll print a message that says option must be a non-negative number. Please try it again. And continue. So this is digit ensures that the choice is a number, a positive number, and it's not alphabetical. With the correct choice, we want to cast it as an int so that we can ensure that the option is valid, and we can do this by doing if choice is greater than the number of options there are, which in this case would be the length of format's ID. So basically, if the user picks an option in this list that's higher, like 8, and there is no 8 option, then that's what this is going to handle. So if choice is greater than the length of format IDs, then we'll print invalid choice. Please try again. Else, we're going to return the format IDs choice. And that's it. That's all we need for the select format function. Running this, putting in a URL, we get our options. If I put in a negative number, we get an error. If I put in an option that doesn't exist, like 8, we get an error because... Okay, so I found out the error. It's down here. Turns out when I put any value like 9, that works. But if I put one that is like 8, immediately after that, I get an error because we need to include that by doing choice greater than or equal to the length of format's ID. So that fixes that little error. So now when I put in a value like 8, we get an invalid, negative number, invalid, anything else, we get invalid. So that all works out nicely. Put in 7, it just returns. All right, so select format is complete. Next, we're ready to work on confirm download. And that's super simple. We'll do while true. We'll set confirm to input, and we'll say download. Options yes, no, and yes will be the default. We'll do if confirm is equal to no, then we'll just return false. So if confirm is in this list, yes, or empty string, and we need to put the lower. And actually, you don't put is in, just in. Return true. That's all we need for the confirm download. And then in our main function, once we get the format ID, confirm download. And that's it for that. Now we're ready to work on download video. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here. What we need to do is check that format ID exists. So if format ID is not equal to an empty string, which could be returned, then we want to do confirm download. And while we're here, if not confirm, then we'll put a message that says download cancel. Else download video function will run. And that's going to take the URL and format ID. At the end of this script, we're just going to rerun the program by running main again. And now we're ready to actually work on download video. And I want to pass in my parameters. It's going to take a URL, which is going to be a string, and format ID, which is also going to be a string. So let's work on that. It's actually super simple. First, we're going to put our command in a variable, and it's going to be DLP, pass in the URL, and then the option format, -F, and pass in the format ID. And that's it for the command. Then we'll just run it. We'll set process. We'll print download complete and accept. And we'll just print out a message that says error during download. Then on the next line, let me actually put the F string there. We'll put the error code and the error message. And then system pause. Now, this will only work for Windows. Again, the full code with Linux support will be up on GitHub. And that's all we need for the download video function. Let's test everything out. So I'll go ahead and run this. Put in our, now, let's see. Okay, we don't have anything on our desktop. Put in our URL. Gives us a list of options. I'm going to press number 6 to get the 720p MP4 version there. Ask us to confirm. Say yes. And it downloads the clip and says download complete. Then it reruns the program. And if we want to exit, we just press Q and we're out of the program. And that's it. That's our little script. Here's the script working under Linux. Again, select an option, confirm, and it downloads the video. I've been having quite a lot of fun learning Python. It's super easy to get into. And for me, that's what makes it fun. In my opinion, coding should be as easy and fun as possible. I've got many books and things, but I'm a visual learner. And a really good YouTuber is visually explained. This wonderful lady breaks down a lot of Python's rather esoteric concepts and incredibly easy to understand visuals. Definitely recommend her channel, as well as CS50's courses on Python. This 2-hour lecture is going to be more than enough to get you up to speed with Python, especially if you're coming from a different programming language or just need to learn the basics of programming in general. This is really, really good. There is also a free full course on Python on the Harvard website. CS50's course takes you through everything you need to learn with Python. So definitely check out CS50's course. And that's it for this video.